Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us this morning. We're going to be talking today on the webinar to discuss how you can get involved in an awesome project that we've been working on. With me today are my other panelists, Danielle Butler, who's the Executive Director of Family Promise of Wake County, April Basta, who's the President of the Triangle Apartment Association with Blue Ridge Companies, and then three of our test unit participants, and I'll explain what that term means in just a little bit. Akeisha Thomas with Serpro of North Raleigh, Wake Forest, and Northern Durham, Jesse MacArthur with Ready Carpet, and Walt Morgan with Red Rhino Group. Today's agenda, we're going to be talking about a project that New Lease on Life has been working on for probably about 6 months or so. Earlier this year, Family Promise of Wake County has about 12 transition apartment homes that they utilize for families experiencing homelessness while they get back on their feet. These units have not really been renovated since Family Promise bought the property in 2010, and we thought they could use a facelift. We've already done one test unit, and so there's 11 remaining units to be done, and we're going to talk to you today about what New Lease on Life is, what Family Promise of Wake County is, in case you're not familiar with those entities and what they do and who they are. In addition to that, we're going to talk about the test unit that we've now completed, how we were able to do it, the parties that were involved, and all the things that we need. The biggest thing I want you to do is to pay attention and keep your eyes and ears open throughout the presentation to figure out ways that you or your company can get plugged in as we try and renovate 2 units per quarter until we're finished with all 12 units. So New Lease on Life is a separate 501c3. A lot of people think that it's part of TAA. It's kind of under the umbrella, but it's its own entity. It's a nonprofit entity that is designed to help fight homelessness in the Triangle specifically, and it does that through partnerships with organizations like Family Promise. Its mission statement, or our mission statement, as I serve as the president of New Lease on Life, is empowering those who are experiencing homelessness by equipping them with opportunities to obtain stable housing. And again, we do that through partnerships with Family Promise of Wake County and members of the Triangle Apartment Association, and there's the interplay. New Lease on Life acts more as a bridge or support between those two entities, pairing families and individuals experiencing homelessness with member organizations within the Triangle Apartment Association, and we pair the two of them up, and then those members within TAA offer discounted rental units where each quarter for a 1-year term, the rent increases slightly so that at the 4th quarter, it's still a discounted rate, but it's something closer to the market rate. In combination with Family Promise's case management, there's an addendum that goes along with the standard lease that the property may use. It requires the tenants to stay in compliance with their case management. As long as they're in compliance with that and they've otherwise complied with the terms of the rental agreement, they're able to renew that lease for an additional 12-month term, thereby giving them 2 years of solid positive rental history that they can take and either move to a market rate property or obtain a loan to buy a house, whatever their heart desires for the most part. Family Promise is one of the first partner organizations, actually they are the first partner organization we chose to work with, and part of the reason for that is because of their solid case management and protocol. They're not rapidly rehousing individuals experiencing homelessness, and especially now that they have these 12 transition apartment homes, they can place families in those units that are coming out of shelter situations, and then they get them they make sure that they have full-time solid employment, they do financial and budgeting training, and then they make sure that if they have any credit blips on their history, that they try and clean those up before they move them on to market rate or other rental housing. And all the statistics have shown that their process has a much higher likelihood of success for those individuals being placed back into quote-unquote circulation. With that, I'm going to transition to Danielle and let her tell you a little bit about Family Promise of Wake County.
Thanks, Todd. So I am Danielle Butler. I'm the Executive Director of Family Promise of Wake County. This year, we're celebrating our 25th year in serving over 1,500 families experiencing homelessness. Our goal of our organization is to take them from shelter to permanent housing and keep them in permanent housing. We just don't get them housed. We don't just stop supporting them once they're housed. We will work with them throughout the entire process. Our goal is to keep families together and preserve natural support. So unlike some other shelters that will split families up, women and children versus men, we don't do that. We keep the natural supports together. Meg, if you want to switch the slide. And the way that we're able to do this is through our continuum of programs that take families from emergency shelter to transitional housing to the new Lease on Life program. The longer a family stays involved with us, the higher the success rate. So a family that can go through our shelter, which is 8 to 12 weeks, and then moves on to our transitional housing program, which is an additional 9 to 12 months, the success rate jumps. Over 80% of families in transitional housing obtain permanent housing and stay in permanent housing. And that is through our partnership with New Lease on Life. Since we obtained the apartment building you see in the picture, we have served over 120 families in those units. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. And we can't do this, like Todd said, without the support of our case managers and our partnership with TAA and New Lease on Life. One of the biggest factors that we work with our families to do is to create savings accounts. So they become housing ready and that they are ready to obtain, that we've addressed all of those credit issues, any past evictions. That is what their time in the transitional housing program is to do, so that they, once we do get them in permanent housing, they stay housed. I would just like to add that the first two families in the New Lease on Life program, the very first family was able to go through our program and obtain a house through Habitat for Humanity. The second family that participated in New Lease on Life and entered her unit in 2012, she still remains in that apartment complex. She has told me that she has moved to a bigger unit because she has gotten married and her family's gotten bigger, but she still lives in that TAA member property. And she is now a member of our Family Promises Board of Directors. So this program works, and again, the way that it works is through our partnership with you all.
So why are we renovating these apartments? Basically, as part of our partnership with Family Promise, we want to support them in any way which we can, and that's where this project comes up. In these 12 units, which Family Promise has had since 2010, there have been very little renovations, and these buildings were actually built in the 80s. Each year, there's approximately 30 families that move in and out of these 12 apartment homes. Family Promise has very limited funds, which means there's very little work being done in between these move-ins and move-outs. If you think about one of your apartment homes that you've either rented or lived in on your own, you can imagine the wear and tear in just 1 year with one person living in the apartment. Now add 18 more years to that and imagine what these units look like. With that, we're going to show you just a 3-minute video showing you the transition of the first apartment that has already been completed.
went through the process we went through to turn the unit. Attached to the webinar email is a scope of work. Will please open the attachment to follow along. So before the project can begin, there are a few items to take care of. We had 2 shipping containers delivered for storage. One was for furniture from the unit, and the other one was used to store materials such as paint, vanity, appliances, and so on. We had a porta john delivered. There was a 30-yard roll-off dumpster we delivered for the waste from the unit. And then we packed the unit up. We moved all the items into the shipping container before we could begin.
So after pre-construction, we started on demolition. We removed countertops, cabinets, appliances, bathroom vanities, the doors, which are currently flush paneled, took all those out, some trim as well, all of the door hardware, all the overhead lights, and removed everything that was possible. It was, and then we also took the furniture and we relocated it to the storage containers outside because we were going to reinstall it when it was complete. It's about a 4-hour session, so that's a labor-only opportunity. So if you're interested in supporting it, that's where the labor component comes in. The next step was installing the cabinets and countertops and the doors. So we had a cabinetry supplier that helped provide some of these cabinets in this unit. We're just going with white shaker style, all full plywood boxes, standard overlay. And so we are looking for somebody to help volunteer on, helping provide the cabinetry if they've got it available. And then also installing the countertops. And we actually hired a countertop supplier to install that as well. So that's more of an opportunity for donation of money than it is for labor on the countertops. And then the doors, the last thing we did was we installed all new 6-panel doors. The doors that were in there were in really bad condition and realized that once we renovated the whole unit and everything else is new, we might as well go ahead and change out the doors as well. And that was a 1-day project on getting all that executed. The opportunity there is labor. If you've got somebody on your team, a service guy that's maybe got some carpentry experience, that's a good place that he could step in and support, or girl. And then of course the material side of it. The third step was the paint and drywall. So in this step, the decision was made because of the condition of the unit to actually hire a painter that was able to get the job done right. It required a lot of wall repairs, a lot of floating, and then 2 coats of paint. So an opportunity for those that are interested here, if there's a paint company on the call, if you want to donate labor, that'd be fantastic. And then for anyone else that's interested, donating materials. So in this case, we did have the paint donated by one of our TA members. I'm going to say it's around 20 gallons of paint that was required. But that was a huge piece, because if anybody's ever seen a renovated unit, people look at the walls, walls and floors first. So
with the floors, we installed a luxury vinyl plank throughout. We installed a floating plank with an attached pad to the backing. We put it throughout the entire unit, bathrooms, kitchen, common areas everywhere, so there's no transitions. And then we installed a white prime true molding. The cabinets were white, so the white prime true molding went throughout the unit. The flooring was pretty simple. We had it done in 1 day. The opportunity we're looking here would be ideal for a flooring contractor who could even partner with a manufacturer to donate the material and the labor. With the flooring, we moved on to the turn unit. This is a great opportunity for our service teams to get involved. What we need is volunteers need to show up and supply their own tools. All other materials will be on site. There's a list of the turn items we went through. Walt, do you want to expand on those?
Yeah, so it was door hardware, it was lighting, it was window coverings, pretty standard stuff that we use all the time, bathroom hardware in any renovation. We were fortunate that one of our MRO suppliers that was that's a member of the TAA actually donated a good portion of those, the first one, but I think any supplier to donate all the material might be challenging. One of the things we discussed was potentially identifying, any dead stock that we could use. But it's a standard turn package. And
then we have the appliances next. We found several properties willing to donate the appliances. The volunteer opportunity we're looking for here is going to be somebody to pick up the appliances, deliver them, and then install them. We'll definitely take 2 people and a truck or a trailer to get this done.
Lakeisha?
Hey, sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Alrighty. So after the appliances were done, and paint and touch up would then be the next step. What we decided to do as a company was to go ahead and volunteer to have all of our employees, we had about 4 to 5 employees there, move everything back into the unit based on pictures that were provided before. We also had some donated items that were given to the unit for replacement costs, like I think we had a coffee table, a couple of smaller items that were replaced, and basically reset everything back the way it was. Interior touch-up paint was done right before that, and also during the time that we were actually moving everything back in. That took about a full 8-hour shift for about 4 to 5 employees to get everything back into the unit, reset. And then we also, the next day, had a cleaning crew come in and do a really detailed clean. For a restoration company like ourselves, that was obviously something that we're pretty normally used to doing. And that probably took about 4 hours to get the final touch-up clean completed. That included some of the tubs and the surrounds were in pretty rough shape, so I think we had those done maybe about a day before that needed about 2 days to cure. But other than that, everything was really just elbow grease and simply labor. The reinstall of the furniture, we also put down felt tips on the ends of everything because of the flooring that Jesse had provided. We wanted to make sure that that was protected in case, you know, the residents that were moving in needed to move things around. But all in all, about 12 hours of complete labor from the moving in to cleaning. And then that process was completed at that point, and we were ready for the Wild Bridge at that point.
Thank you. I'd like to take one more opportunity to give a big, huge shout out to Akeisha, Jesse, Walt, and all the other volunteers that worked on or donated materials, labor, or financial contributions for this test unit. We couldn't have done it without their help. Now, you may be wondering how you can get involved or help with this. Let me say that first, that no contribution is too small or too large for that matter. There's another handout with a commitment form, so if you'd like to go ahead and sign up, that'd be great. But these are the things that we need. We need supplies, and that includes cabinets, countertops, appliances, door hardware, light hardware, bathroom fixtures, flooring, paint. We use agreeable gray, which is the new trend color, sinks and faucets. Think of all your overstock. Think of your shops or your warehouses where you might have some extra items hanging out. These apartments don't have to match each one, so we are willing to take different fixtures for different units. Obviously, we'd like the one unit to match, but they don't have to match each other. Volunteer labor. This is general labor, which is demo, moving furniture, etc., and then cleaning. Then we've got professional labor. There are some things we definitely want done correctly, which is painters and carpentry. And then funds. One thing to remember that all contributions are tax deductible, but this is a great way to strike up some competition. You know, have your properties or your employees fundraise. Money is always good. We can do a lot with that. We're not looking for everything for free. So if you're a construction company or a paint company and you can't donate items, maybe you can offer it to us at a discount or at least at cost. We're definitely willing to take those as well.
All right, Meg, you want to move to the next slide? I'll just recap quickly, and then we can open the floor for some questions to the extent there are any. So to recap, our goal was to complete 2 units per quarter. We want to do this until all the units have been renovated, and we've got a pretty ambitious schedule for the first 2 units we'd like to get to work on, as those are scheduled for 10/21 to begin work and conclude by November the 8th. Now, I know there's only a few of us on this call, but we're going to forward this webinar out to a number of other TA member companies, and we really want, and we're striving to get 2 new families into 2 renovated units by Thanksgiving. And I know everybody wants to get on board with that. So don't be shy. Go ahead and fill out the commitment form. If you don't feel like what you're offering fits neatly into the form of the commitment form, please just email Meg, start a conversation so that we can get you on the track to being able to help and get involved in this. As the video showed, I mean, we probably take housing for granted and it's pretty easy to do, but it really provides a certain level of pride to those people who are living in a renovated unit as opposed to just putting a roof over their head. As April said, any contributions are welcome. If you don't feel like you can provide a full, a free item, if you contact us with some type of discount or can work with us on pricing, still start that conversation. We need appliances, we need supplies, we need materials, we need labor. Whether there's some items we need professional labor for, other ones we can take volunteers, but then you can always write a check. And any of those things, I want to make it clear, any of those donations are tax deductible. You can put a value on appliances that are being donated, any supplies or materials, or your labor for that matter. It's still going to a charitable organization, and so it is tax deductible. Again, start the conversation, and let's see what we can accomplish. With that, I'll open it up to questions.
So far, no questions in the comments. If anybody has a question, please feel free to unmute yourself. You can ask it, or if you're not able to have a microphone, feel free to send it through the chat. Yes, can I get a copy of the slides? Nicole asks, absolutely. After we finish up the call and finalize the recording, I'm going to put it all together with a recording of the webinar, and I can do a copy of the slides and the other handouts as well, and I can email them to the participants for sure.
I have a question.
Sure.
So if I say that I'm going to volunteer 12 hours, how does that get decided? Like what day, what hours? How do y'all schedule that, or how's that? Or I just tell you specifically I can do these days, or how's that work?
Hey, Cindy, I'll speak to that. This is Jesse. We have a sign-up sheet that we put together. Last time we had a sign-up sheet that we sent out there, and then volunteers could pick from slots and availability that fit into their schedule. So we'll put together a scope of work and a schedule with days with volunteer opportunities, and you can see what days you can volunteer for.
Okay, any idea when that might go out? Is there a target date?
I mean, what I would say, Cindy, is right now, until we have a commitment for people providing labor, supplies, materials, I don't want us to post a sign-up sheet, have a ton of people sign up, and then we get none of the financial component to it that doesn't allow us to do it. So we're basically just then getting back with you and saying you signed up for, we don't have the ability to use you right now. So I mean, part of this webinar and publishing this is to try and get that financial or material backing so that we know that we've got the green light to go with the 2 units.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. I do have one more quick question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry. Last time, was there something in what you needed that was more difficult to come by? Like, did you have, tons of labor help, but not enough supplies, or?
I'll let Jesse and Walt answer that question.
The one area we didn't have volunteers in last time was for the cabinet labor to install the cabinets.
Yeah.
We determined that was more of a skilled trade.
Yeah, that was one of the bigger challenges. But the cabinets that came last time were They were knockdown cabinets, but they also had to be constructed with glue and nails and finish nailers and everything. So the goal for the next group of cabinets will be true knockdown cabinets that go together similar to IKEA furniture. So make it a lot simpler.
I will say with the cabinets, we will have a team lead who is experienced and can guide the way. So volunteers do not necessarily have to have experience installing cabinets.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. And that goes along with every task that we're doing. So we're trying to put someone in there that's got the experience for demo, for the put back on, installing door hardware. Not everyone's ever done that. So if you're interested in learning how to install, a handle set, then sign up for that time and we'll teach you.
Okay.
And I will say that for the pack back, that's something that really anyone can help with. So if you can volunteer a couple of your hours of time to, move kitchen, kitchen things. I think we had a couple of things in the bathroom that were not provided when we started the WOW fridge, like a toilet scrubber, those kinds of things. Some of those small items and supplies were needed towards the end. And that's something that's not a skill trade. Anyone can provide those things. So a lot of those touch-up items, if you got labor and maybe a couple of extra dollars to go to the store and get a couple of those things in the crunch time, that's something that we definitely needed towards the end as well.
Any questions from anybody else? All right, thanks guys. Please feel free to reach out with questions, comments, start that conversation. We look forward to working with you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.